So, do you know what your love language is in your life? What things that evoke joy and happiness, make you feel loved and accepted, do you know what they are? And if you don't, you're going to dig today's episode talking about how things can be love language for us, but can be totally different for the people that we love in our own life. Today, I'm excited. I have coming to you from my living room in Vero Beach, Florida, my husband, Keith Patterson. Keith, I want to say welcome to the show.
It's so nice to be here with you.
And with that, I'm glad you're here. So I thought, who better than to have the person that I'm married to on today talking about love language. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit and say, I'm not sure if it was before we were married, when we were about to be married, or after we were married, that we had both read the book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. Do you know in terms of the timeline that we had read that together?
I think it was during pre-Cana when we were getting married. We were, asked to read the book and talk about it, but I'm not sure.
Oh, for real? Okay. I forgot about that. Okay. But it was a book I had never read before, and what it kind of breaks down is all of us, there's 5 different forms of love languages, and it's not just specifically maybe you have one, you could have 2 or 3, but what they are, it's breaking down what are the things that for us, knowing what brings us joy and happiness, and allowing it to be something we are aware of, and that's one of the things we're going to go in today, along with communicating to the people, whether it's your partner, a family member, a dear friend that you care about, what your love language is. So I'm going to get into right now, what are the 5 love languages that we can possess as human beings? The first being words of affirmation, saying supportive things to your partner. I'm gonna plug my husband here a little bit. I know one of the things that I'm kind of proud of about us is one of the things that we started out from the beginning. We always lift each other up. I know something with you, you're always complimenting me. You're always kind of taking time to convey, positive affirming words, allowing, me to feel just good about myself. The second is acts of service, doing helpful things for your partner. The third is receiving gifts. 4th is quality time, and 5th is physical touch. So, for you guys that are listening, there's those 5 love languages. Do you know what yours are? What are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that you're like, oh my goodness, this is kind of a sign that I know that this person cares about me? And where we can kind of get into trouble, whereas like we don't express the things that do bring us joy, these forms of our love language, and we're having these kind of unrealistic expectations, thinking that the person on the other end knows and can read our mind. And I think, Keith, we've communicated this over the years, different things that we know that are different about each other that make the other person feel valued or loved. So if you were to say like what your love language is, like how would you describe that for yourself?
Well, I have to start by saying this feels a lot like our first date because you're doing all the talking and I'm just sitting here listening. And and you always give me a lot of stress about what's the word I'm looking for? Complaints about that. So, so the love language thing, you mentioned before, like an hour ago, about how, I do the words of affirmation, but I have to force myself to do that. Like that is not something that comes naturally to me. And it's something that I know is important to people. So I have to actually make myself say, this tastes good, or thank you for doing this, or, the broccoli looks pretty on the plate, or whatever I say. I have to make myself do that. That's not part of me. And I think that's one of the things I did learn from the book. And just from, the last 10 years of marriage is that you have to do that kind of stuff. You have to program yourself to do it. and you have to make time to do it. And like, my
Well, it's the awareness.
right. And then the other thing, the big thing about this that I think we learned was we both don't have the same love language. So, and not only do you have to realize that, when it's my birthday, I have to realize that, your love language is different than mine. And when it's your birthday, I have to realize that your love language is different than mine and make accommodations for both of those things. And, especially when you're new in a relationship, or you're just a couple years into a relationship, it's really hard to do that. And then things change, like circumstances in your life change. Like we have a son, a 6-year-old son, that changes, what it was like before that too, with the different kinds of love language things. Because now I have to get Jack involved anytime, I'm going to do something. Like we're doing a secret Mother's Day present right now. Secret. Secret.
But I think it's neat being able to pass that awareness secret, on to with our kids or people within our family, of being aware of like, what is mommy's love language? What is, daddy's love language? I know with Jack, one of his big ones, and I talked a little bit about this today, is quality time, right? Where it's like, one-on-one time, feeling that, I'm the center of attention and doing something that's fun. And so knowing that, when that doesn't happen, there's kind of a little bit of an absence there. But the fact that being aware that, like your love language is different than me. Our kids, their love language is different than us. And being aware of the wiring of how people feel and express love and affection. And I think that awareness is really, really important. How do you feel like when it comes to, in a relationship, being aware of one another's love language is important? What significance does that play? Okay,
well, you want the person to feel valued and loved, obviously, and whereas I at one point would have given you gifts, like gone out to a store or gone on Amazon and bought a gift that I thought you would like, diamond earrings, or expensive gifts, right? Or a surfboard, or a whatever. And then I find out, like in the relationship, that first of all, you like to get jewelry from places you've gone on vacation because it makes you remember that place. And secondly, you like to pick out your own surfboards. You don't like someone else buying a surfboard for you. So both of those gifts, although they sound good, would not be good gifts for you. But if I make a mug, a coffee mug out of clay with my own 2 hands and color it, and put it in a kiln, you'll like cry and weep for like a couple minutes and hug me and love it forever, and it would be still on our kitchen counter. Which to me, like I understand that that's your love language, but if you give me a mug, and I'm not saying anything to Taylor or Jordan, who made me mugs when they were 3 and 4 years old. I love those mugs, and I still have them somewhere. But like that is not the kind of gift that I would want to get, and nor do I want diamond earrings or a surfboard. But because that's not my love language. But I'll tell you, the best birthday present I ever got was when you took me and Jordan and Taylor to play. What was it? The not paintball, but what is it? The gun game with the light, whatever that's called. And then we laser tag. Thank you. When we went to play laser tag, that was the best birthday present that I had ever gotten as an adult. Because. And although that wasn't my normal love language, because that's yours, like doing things with your family and stuff, or one of yours, but that was awesome, because it was thoughtful and it was, you know, exactly what you knew I liked to do, and stuff like that.
Well, and I think that awareness is kind of cool and can be creative. And a lot of times we could think, you know, we hear gifts like that it has to cost money. And a lot of times that absolutely doesn't have to be the case. Like you had said, you know, making a mug, picking flowers, like not even having to go and get a bouquet of flowers, you know, just doing things. I know one of the things you had done, which I appreciated, like, and I would super post pictures everywhere. Like when we were away overseas, we were in Asia, I loved how they had outdoor showers with the bamboo and that tropical vibe. And you know, made one in our, you know, our outside. Like I love outside showers. And then you throw that with that whole, you know, just awesome bamboo, cool vibe. I mean, it was like the best thing ever. And so it, I don't know, it's awesome. I think it's a learning to be kind of selfless, get excited about kind of, we'll say, blessing other people in your life that you love. And just, I think it makes us, I know it makes us better people when we're in tuned. I know for me, I know it makes you happy in the sense of beginning your day when I leave a cup, you know, a hot cup of coffee on the side of your nightstand every single morning. And for me, like that brings me joy because I know it brings you joy. And it's like something simple, and knowing, like, I think there's adults out there like, I don't know what my love language is, and taking time to think, what are your love language, and the people in your life, your partner, you know, your best friend, your parents, your siblings, what's their love language? And it's okay if they're all different, but kind of breaking down, what is it that makes somebody feel valued? And it's okay, not only is it different, but learning how to kind of accommodate those differences and learning about the other person. You know, I think on the other end, it's the awareness. Do you feel like there's benefits as an individual being aware of other people's love language? I'll ask you that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that book, I don't remember who wrote that book. Do you remember who wrote that book? The 5 Love Languages?
Gary Chapman.
That's right, Gary Chapman. All of his books are good. But the 5 Love Languages, I think that's a really good book, and I think every pre-marriage should read that book, because it did open my eyes to the fact that not everybody wants, you know, A, B, or C. Some people want something else, and I think it's important to know that. I think it's really important to communicate that and have a discussion with your soon-to-be spouse or your spouse about what makes you feel good, and ask them what makes them feel good when when it comes to daily interaction. And, you know, what they need to be complete, you know, and your children too. Like there's, you know, Gary Chapman's written books about other things. But my children, you know, too, are, you know, like you were saying, Jack, like he likes spending time, and we both know that. He's only 6, and that'll probably change and develop and everything. But we both know that he likes to spend time. But our girls have totally different love languages. And now that they're grown, it's probably a good idea for us to have a conversation about it, because I'm still doing the write the check for the birthdays because I know they like to pick out their own gifts. But the presents they're getting us now are just so perfect for us. And they're doing a really good job with it. And I'm wondering if their love language has expanded and I'm not meeting their needs, you know, where it goes, you know, with the birthdays and the Christmases and just the daily interactions too. But of course, they live so far away. Our daily interactions are just texts. So.
But even that, like, you know, just maybe being aware of, like, you know, different times of the year or different, you know, moments where it's just kicking that extra text or the phone call or the power of FaceTime. You know, I think that's something in terms of like kind of raising our awareness with that. But everybody is different. And yes, with age, our love languages change. And that's where that check-in, I think, is so valuable and a lot of times doesn't happen. and where it's like that frustration, well, they should know that this is important to me, or they should know that I like this, when it's like we don't read each other's minds. And I know I've been guilty of that in the past, you know, with you, where I've been like, well, why didn't this happen? Well, because I didn't express that. And that is part like on me. Well, let's have an adult conversation, and that's not a selfish thing, of what are things that enhance our life that we would be wonderful on the receiving end with somebody else, and vice versa. And what are yours? And as time goes on, you know, now we've been together, I mean, how many years? Like 11-ish years, 11 years. And with that, you know, life changes, we change, and kind of navigating that. Is it 10? No. 10,
it doesn't turn into 11.
It's 11 years in August.
August 1st. So,
and then like
so
almost 11. I don't know. Listen, yeah.
It's an integer.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just think it's forever.
That's sweet. So what you're saying, what you're saying is the real reason for this phone call is to talk about update our love languages. Has nothing to do with a podcast or anything. Is that what you're saying?
Nothing to do with the podcast at all. That's pretty much what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny.
Guilt's coming.
Should I take this laptop out and show everyone that bamboo shower that you're talking about? Because I think that's pretty cool, the bamboo shower. I mean, there's special plants.
It's the best. I love it. It actually
there's special plants around that bamboo shower, orchids.
Yes.
You know, I mean, not everyone has one of those.
Yeah. It is beautiful. No, I do. I love it. It's super. Actually, it's one of my favorite.
And it was cheap, which you
and it's joyful. And this was not intended to like grill you. And it was cheap, which I like. Budget friendly instead of cheap, economical. So with that. When we're aware of these 5 things, I think amazing things happen. So as we kind of wind things down a little bit, what are your love languages? Whether it is words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, physical touch. Think about it. What are things that bring you joy? And then secondly, asking yourself, have you conveyed this to your partner, to your family members, to your friends? And that's not like a selfish, weird thing, because we all have a love language. And then asking them, it's not just about us, what is yours? How can we refine this a little bit? Because what this does, it strengthens our relationships. It strengthens our method of communication, and it essentially just makes us better people, and we're more aware of ourselves, how we are wired, and the people that are around us and that we care about. Boom. I mean, that's kind of my 2 cents. Do you have anything before we rock out?
No, I think you hit it all. I think you should do an episode on personalities next to Miller's anthology thing, because that's another thing we did during our pre-Cana. And another thing that's just like this, that it hits on, if I have this personality, like I'm an introvert and you're an extrovert, and me understanding you and you understanding me, just like the love language. I think that's another thing. Maybe you could do that on a future show with someone else.
I think that's a great idea. And you just might be my guest. All right. As we wind down, I want to say thank you for joining me today, and my husband, Keith Patterson of Vero Beach. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out this video to tune in and continue growth and expanding our goodness within our life. And as we go on today, wishing you a tremendous amount of peace, love, and goodness, my friends.